So in this video we're going to be looking at step 3, which is form. I'm going to be grabbing my armatured bug made out of the armature wire and the tin foil. I'm going to use my clay to make these bulbous, more rounded shapes on the beetle and to fill him out. Keep in mind that this is why we made the armature smaller in the first place, is to be able to put the clay on top and add volume without adding too much volume to the point that it's bigger than our intended scale. So for the materials that we're going to be using, I'm going to be using this Super Sculpey. This is the original Super Sculpey. It's like a tan beige color. It's slightly translucent. Right now they're selling it like this packaging. The box is the old packaging, but this seems to be the new packaging. This clay is softer. As you can see, it says there's a soft. Now we're going to be talking about the firm Super Sculpey. This Super Sculpey is a lot harder than the tan one. This is what I'm using right now, is a mixture of both, but it's mostly gray. You can mix the Super Sculpey and the Super Sculpey soft and the firm to make a kind of in the middle clay. But right now I'm going to be doing a side-by-side test to show you the difference in hardness. So as you can see, the beige clay is softer than the gray clay, and it's easier for me to push it down. I have to use less force to do so. Something else that you might see at the store while shopping in the Super Sculpey section is these Super Sculpeys that are smaller and already colored. These are the ones that I used to use when I first started working with Sculpey. It comes with lots of different colors. I'm going to take them out right there to show you. So, and they have different finishes. Some of them are metallic, some of them have a more granite finish. There's lots of different options. You can use this if you'd like as a base. Some people suggest using against it because you can't really control the color that you're given. You can't change the color of the clay, but you can paint over it if you'd like to, and you could use it as a base color for your paint job. When going to the store to buy your clay, I would suggest to specifically touch the clay that you're going to buy and make sure that it's not already hard, because sometimes in the transition from the manufacturer to the store, the trucks get really hot and it doesn't take that much heat to bake this clay. So sometimes the clay gets pre-baked, and then in the store they might be kind of crumbly, and you can't really go back from baking the clay. So make sure that the clay that you buy is clay that is soft and that is not already baked or hardened in any way. So now I'm going to go over the tools that I'll be using. This is the acrylic rolling pin that I use. It's really helpful because the clay does not stick to it, or it doesn't stick to it as much as it could. These are some simple dotting tools. As you can see, these are like pinheads kind of thing, like needles. These are a thin and thick, and this is a dotting tool that has a thin and a thick on either side. These are actually available at the dollar store. This is another dotting tool I use, the same kind of thing where it's one different circle to the other. An X-Acto knife or a blade cutter to cut your clay and have nice solid cuts. I use this little, it's like a slicer and a rounder. This is like a pinhead, like a needle on one side and like a little spatula on the other. And these are my pride and joy, my silicone tip paintbrushes. So these are like having tiny fingers that you can squeeze into nooks and crannies. As you can see, each one has a different tip, so they create different patterns on your clay, but they sell these in a variety of sizes. You can get them big or small. I prefer the small because I work small, but they allow you to get into crevices that your fingers cannot get into. So now I'm going to be starting the process of adding the clay to the beetle. I personally like to add a thin layer of clay first to kind of get like at least a better grip for the rest of my clay. So I really like that thin layer to be nicely packed onto the top of the armature. Keep in mind that you don't necessarily need to add clay to something for it to be a sculpture. You can put something into the clay for it to be a sculpture. The only thing is, because of this clay gets baked, you just need to make sure that whatever object you insert into the clay can withstand the heat of the oven. If it can withstand up to 200 degrees, that's fine. It might also be a good idea to do a test of that object. Maybe put it in the oven for a certain amount of time and then check it to make sure that it doesn't react a certain way with the heat, and then you can put it into your sculpture. Something else that you guys should consider is that if you make a design in the clay, like a hole, and then you bake it without anything holding that shape inside, that circle, that hole is going to get smaller. So basically the clay shrinks in the oven at least a little bit, so you can't bake something that's supposed to go into the clay and then try to put it in afterwards. You have to bake it with that object in the clay in the oven so it conforms to the shape of that object. So this is a sculptural part of the beetle finished. You can see all of his details, the indents, the crevices, and the voluminous, more bulbous sections of him. And then the next step would be to bake him, which is step 4, and that's going to be the next video.